Bokashi is an urban form of composting. It was principally made for urban environments because it doesn't smell or attract flies. But recently it's been adopted for use on farms. In fact, I did an experiment using the same technique and put it in a big 300-litre tank, and it produces, it's the quickest, in my opinion, the quickest, most efficient way of composting. Something that everyone should do in their home. It produces two things. It produces a leachate, a liquid that comes off. About a sixth of the size of the container will come off as a leachate, and it produces that in a month. Basically pickles all the food. You can put anything in it, and whether it's meat or fruit or any organic matter. And then the solids afterwards, if you bury it and mix it with earth, in 2 weeks it'll be completely decomposed after the 1 month process. So here on the farm, just off our own kitchen, with probably an average of 3 people here, 3 or 4 people, we could easily fill one of these in like 2 weeks. But we here on the farm, we actually have 4 of these 300-litre tanks, and we pick up the organic matter, the organic waste from the fruit sellers and the vegetable sellers and also the restaurants in the market, and in 60-litre buckets, and we fill the tanks like that. Potato fields. Yeah, close enough for now. Get the rest.
Gracias. Gracias.
Starting a new tank. You didn't have to wash it even, just put it straight in. It's a screw top, so normally no flies and no smell from the outside. So we can produce a lot more fertilizer as a high grade phase 2 general fertilizer. So when the plants, after they've germinated, when they've got enough leaves, you apply it once at a ratio of 1 part to 40 of water. Just spray it, and the 4 studies that I've read show that it increases yield about 30% just with one application, so it's amazing. So for instance, with this alfalfa, we spray it after it's grown back a little bit, once every cut, and that gives us bigger leaves, taller grass, and an extra cut every year. So one tank like this will produce enough for 40 times this size in crops. This is like 1 hectare. How Bokashi works is it is 3 bacteria. One's photosensitive, so it doesn't like the light, and another's air sensitive, so it's anaerobic, and that's why we keep it in a closed tank. And it doesn't need to be these fancy tanks with a false bottom or 2 buckets with holes. As long as you cover the drain with something so that the leachate can come out, any tank will do. One of the keys is every time you put some in, you should add a little bit of the effective microorganisms 1, which is this mix of 3 bacteria. We actually have a separate video on how to make that too. We've done a lot of experiments with the leachate, working with from a range of things like alfalfa to onions. One thing I will say about the leachate now is that it's so easy to produce a surplus of it, and it helps people go organic, that it's a good way to make money. In fact, the investment in this tank, it costs like 300 Bolivianos here, and this tank itself will make 500 Bolivianos of leachate sales, fertilizer sales, product in the first month, and every 5 weeks after that. So to put it into perspective, just off these 4 300-litre tanks, I could earn what's the minimum wage here in Bolivia, so it'd be enough to live on, and that'll be the same for wherever you are in the world. You know, instead of in Bolivianos, you could sell it in euros. And it only takes about 2 days in total to collect all the organic waste and bottle it, and if people come to me, then it's 2 days for that. So this tank's been sitting here for about 3 weeks from the last fill, and we obviously put the EM1, the effective microorganisms, into it, and it's pickled it, and now there's about, we'll see how much comes out, but I'd say about 50 litres of this fertilizer will come out. It even works if you put it down the drain. If your drain's smelly, it'll deodorize the drain. As we all strive to grow more of our food in these times, it's important that we understand the concept of a return to earth. We can't just keep planting on the same ground and expect it to grow healthy, nutritious food. So for me, Bokashi is an amazing way for us to do that. Take the everyday scraps and improve the soil and strengthen the plant. So there are 3 ways that we use the solids. One is to make an instant garden and improve the fertility where that is. We have a separate video for that also. And this was using that technique. We made a herb spiral, putting a layer of the solids down first, but it's been producing like crazy for 3 years now, primarily based off that Bokashi solids. They break down in 2 weeks. Another way we use it is beneath trees when we're planting the trees, and the third way is as an activator in a compost that's a leafy or grassy compost. We mix it in with that. So if you're in an urban environment, you could use it in your small backyard, or you can use the solids in the pot plants, but even within 2 weeks, mixing it with dirt, you're going to have a super organic rich soil which will support any kind of plant. The setup for Bokashi is very inexpensive. You can use recycled paint buckets like we have and buy a basic tap if it's for an urban environment, or a water tank, and with a basic tap or valve at the bottom. Bokashi should be available, the fertilizer, in every community, and it can support at least one person in that community to collect the organic waste from the market and to offer that fertilizer to other people and make a living off it. Farmers around here like to see that things work before they adopt them. So what they got taught when they got a lot of these lands was agrochemical practices. But when they started to see me use this fertilizer on this land, and it was obvious from the day after the Bokpao was sprayed, there was obvious growth, and it just continued right through. They adopted it from that. So I recommend just giving a little bit away, or going into a farmer's field and asking to spray a corner. They'll see within a few days, and then their neighbours will ask, well, what did you do? So it can be quite viral. If we look at the prices of energy and the availability, the lack of availability, in fact shortage of chemical fertilizers that's coming upon us this year, it's a real service. The leachate is organic, and as a result we're fostering more life. We're using living bacteria and putting a lot of nutrients onto the ground and into the plants, and as a result the plants in general grow stronger and are more resistant, so less susceptible to pests, to harmful plagues of any sort. And for me, Bokashi is 100% my primary method, and one I can't recommend it highly enough.
If you found this video about Bokashi helpful, please like and comment on the video, subscribe to our new channel, and share it with your friends as well.
And if you have any tips or questions, put them in the comments below. Bye!